How you doing? How's everybody doing?
Tired, but good.
I'm all right. I'm a little bit. I'm coughing a little bit, but otherwise, I'm all right.
Because of the smoke.
Yes, because of the smoke, not because of COVID. But yeah, it's very. It's a lot better today. Much better today. The last couple of days, it looked really bad. We were. It's not as bad as last. I don't know, like last September maybe. It was really bad, and I mean, it literally looked like Las Vegas and Blade Runner 2049 here. Like it was like so thick that just you could tell that there was smoke just looking across the street.
Dennis Villeneuve, aka, was doing the doing your lighting near you.
Yeah, yeah, but it wasn't anywhere near that bad. But it was pretty bad the last few days. But today it actually looks better today, and it cooled down. It was hottish, like high 80s and low 90s, like the last 3 or 4 days. Today, it's actually much cooler. So I
Yeah.
enjoyed 2049 quite a bit.
I liked it more than I thought possible when I heard who was going to be in it, and I was like, "Oh man!" And they started to introduce storylines that were not vague, like
Yeah,
like the good thing about Blade Runner, I think, is the cuts where the story is more vague about what they mean. And 2049 is like, no, these are the answers. I'm like,
yeah,
I don't want the answers. I just want to experience. But there was enough of an experience there that it was still good, I think.
yeah, yeah. I was very pleasantly surprised by that movie. I was not. Um, I was not. I was afraid that it would be a typical, you know, uh, sequel cash in, especially because it had been so long and whatnot. But I ended up enjoying it quite a bit.
I just saw your Omega hello. Oh, sorry,
Oh yeah.
Omega.
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 Yeah.
That's cute.
Hi-yo.
Crosshair.
I know you don't mean to.
I can't. I know she's New Zealander, but sometimes she gets real British. Sometimes.
Which I mean makes sense. I mean, there's enough, exposure.
I think it
and
has
stuff,
something to
so-
do with acting. Acting pushes a British accent really hard, I think.
Mm.
So it might creep in, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think we're set. This dog has stopped whining.
We don't know what those other figures are though. That's one thing
Oh
I'll
yeah,
say
well
before
we can
Is that
just
the
do
whole
that.
set?
We could just do that. Are you ready to
Okay.
just do that? Welcome back.
I mean, is it? Yeah.
Carbon scoring. Let's see. So we did Battle Cat. So
The
that's
new Revelations Battle Cat.
I'm trying not to.
Skelegod.
I got you can see the like reflection of the thing. Yeah, that's the Skelegod.
I don't.
like-
I'm not getting the Revelations one. I'm getting the Origins ones. Although
Okay.
I am really tempted to get the Skelegod. Like that one figure, I am very tempted to get.
Here's my problem with Skelegod. These are the same price.
Mm.
Battle Cat and Skelegod are the same price. Battle Cat is at least 3 times more plastic than Skelegod.
Yeah, but they don't care about that. The cost of the plastic's not that
And
much different.
Skelegod is the same size as He-Man.
That's problematic. He
What
should
about
be a
his-
little bit bigger.
He should be bigger.
But doesn't he come with more bits and capes and stuff like that? And
He's
Yeah,
got,
he's like a deluxe figure.
he's
Yeah,
got
that's what I was
hands. He's got hands and fire. He's got hands and fire and the sword of power. I almost called it the Master Sword. So, I mean, He-Man comes with hands, a shield, and the sword of power. I don't see why this is this much money. You know?
yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look right now. Oh yeah, he doesn't come with much, does he?
No.
Yeah, he comes with, like you said, the sword of power, 2 extra hands, and an energy effect. He's got more armor. He is going to be.
He's bigger.
There's
But
more
he's not that much
plastic
bigger.
than He-Man, but not exceedingly. Not
Yeah.
another.
I don't know if you can really see it because I haven't taken it out, but you can see the. Here, I'll do the thing. There we go. Like his face mold is really good compared to the Revelations cartoon. Revelation cartoon.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Of like, there's people who are kit bashing the Origins He-Man head and armor onto the Revelation version,
Yeah.
and it's a pretty good like in between, and it has a nice balance to it.
Yeah. I mean, Skeletor is just like a thinner Skelegod. He's not that much.
Yeah, it's almost a He-Man body, and
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, well, that was the point, right? Like, you try and reuse as much as possible, so the body underneath is pretty similar. And Evil Lynn's pretty good. Evil Lynn comes with a whole separate head with the no helmet.
yeah.
She's got the... I can't... There we go.
No, it's good. So yeah, we get you. We had that at the shop yesterday. Dixon picked one up.
There's like 6 of them there today.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how he got so many, because that was the only one that I had trouble finding, actually. The rest of them, I got them all retail. I didn't pay markup on any of them. So that I would still be missing the Faker exclusive and the Comic-Con Scareglow. That's it. Scareglow looks very similar to Skelegod in its size and shape.
He's another. I mean, that was the beauty of the line at the time, and it is now, is that it's so much reuse and repaints. But yeah, like, here's my money. Like, I'm on board. It's interesting too, because it's like, we're not gonna, with some of the baseline characters, you're gonna see a fair amount of that. But when you go from like Boss Man to Beast Man, which those were just equal repaints in the past, these will be distinct. Like, Moss Man is Moss Man, and Beast Man is very different. Like, they're not just palette swaps.
Yeah, Moss Man looked a lot like they took a Swamp Thing figure from somewhere.
Yeah, that's all Mattel.
Yeah. Oh, so where is Moss Man?
I don't know. Has he rejoined the green?
Maybe he is not. Maybe he has not shipped yet. Let me see. Because I thought I ordered a Moss Man, because he's part of this wave, actually.
Yeah.
So, Kit, not to sully your choices or anything, I didn't like the look of the Origins line. They looked as if they had been redone to look worse than the original toys.
That's fair. I like them because they are short and squat and remind me more of the classic toys. So, and I like that.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Moss Man arriving next Friday.
Nice. We were talking too, like they a lot of them are kind of like, they look like they almost just, they're retools to look like that old version because they get the additional articulation. But like the armored one, we were talking earlier about how there's this overlap in certain, like when you jumped onto the He-Man series and like which characters did you have, and there's kind of dependent on like when you got into it. And one of the center points was the armored He-Man that had the battle damage.
Yeah.
And that's one of my favorites. And in the Origin series, that little battle plate that gets damaged and spins is smaller this time around. And I'm like, it feels off. And like, I was like, as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, I gotta get that. Like, I love that armor. And then I'm like, it doesn't look the same. It feels off somehow. Like, and so I held off.
That's the thing, that when I saw the He-Man, they had both of them in the store, which is like, I don't know how, with having tried to collect Star Wars over the last couple of years of like us talking about it, it's become like impossible. So when I saw all the He-Man figures there, I was like, what? They're all here? Okay, I'll look at them. And I put the Origin He-Man next to the Revelation He-Man. And I was like, my aesthetic in my head says that, you know, like the cartoon, the belief that I had in the cartoon was like He-Man looked more like the Revelation in my head, of like, that's a human being's body. Yeah. It looks like a human being, versus the Origin figure that's sitting there that's like, everything is it looks like some guy went to the gym and only worked his arms and his legs. You know?
Well, that's one great thing. There's a special on Netflix right now called, I believe, The Power of Grayskull. It's a making of He-Man, stuff like that. A lot of the original, what they did is they rotoscoped a lot of the original He-Man cartoons, but they actually hired an actor who was that size to just run around, and they used all that footage and drew it on top of it. And,
nice.
But he's like, there's like these unnamed, I mean, I think they're named now, but watching the thing, it's like they're just actors that were just that big, and they're just like, all right, run around, go do your stuff, get Teela in there for this one, and now Skeletor, use the same guy. And it's crazy. It's a really fun documentary.
Yeah. It's interesting looking at the so like I pulled up a 3 different figures for Man at Arms to see what the Origin one looks like, and the Origin one is like, holy wow. I mean, obviously everything's reuse again, right? So his arms and his legs are He-Man's arms and legs, and they're massive. And then he has that breastplate thing that looks like he would like hit it all the time. And then you look at the Revelation one, and it's much lower down here on his chest versus the Origin one's like this, you know. And so like it seems like the bodies make more sense to me and which is why I ended up buying the Revelation line. Plus, there's like way less of the Revelation ones so far, so it felt manageable, although they are more expensive. And then you look at the Revelation one, and you can see it. You know, like, oh, look, there's the same tunic that every single character wears. There's the same, you know, right leg that all the characters have. And then the rest of it's kind of unique because it's Man at Arms. And I just found this picture. I don't know if you guys, if you just Google Man at Arms action figure.
You share in the chat.
Oh, I didn't see. I have my, I put my thing on top of the chat.
No worries.
Yeah, this is great radio. Well, if other people, no, it's not in the chat for me. That's weird.
No, I'm saying you can put it in the chat.
Oh, I can put it in the chat.
We can see it.
I see.
And then you can have it saved for later to share at Instagram at wewergamers.com.
I would love nothing more than to remember to do that one time. Okay, so here's another one that I found. This is Mondo. You know Mondo, the company?
Mondo's like they're essentially like they're very similar to Super 7, where they're like they're no stops, no costs were
spared. No expense. Yes, we'll get to the Jurassic Park reference. you get it. So there's like a Origins, and so there's like the middle of the road, and then copy paste. So people know I'm actually doing something and just started losing my mind. So look at the 3 different like models you get that are current, right? Those are all current models of Man at Arms. And like that Mondo figure is probably $200. You know,
I think they're around 100. I think.
Yeah, but now they'd probably be more.
If secondary market, if they sold out, yeah, you're right.
I mean, the Iron Giant that I never pulled the trigger on was $200 just from Mondo. You know.
Yeah.
But they make great stuff. It's just you pay the premium for the premium item. So I don't know. I like this bottom look, the Revelation look. I really enjoy Revelation a lot. I don't know. You guys want to talk about He-Man for a minute? Because I did 2 things. One, I watched He-Man, and then I watched the document, not the making of, but the like after show. I don't know if you guys did you see that on Netflix with Kevin Smith doing the after show?
I thought it was there.
I haven't watched it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's only about half an hour, and it's kind of cool. They brought on what's his name? I can't remember his name, but the original Skeletor was on there, and Mark Hamill, and like a whole. They do
Oppenheimer,
or Oppenhauer, or whatever it is. It's like three minutes with each actor that plays a major role in the show, so it's not super in depth or anything, and it's just more of a hype thing for a good 3 minutes of it is Kevin Smith directing a commercial for the Revelation toys.
It's all Alan Oppenheimer, by the way.
There you go. Alan Oppenheimer. We should shout him out because he's great. He plays Moss Man in this one. So I watched that, and then I was like, I never finished Jay and Silent Bob Strike reboot.
Oh, neither have I.
Yeah.
I actually forgot about that.
Don't finish it. It's not that good.
Okay.
I already did. I'm not. I mean, I bought it because it was I think $15 for the Blu-ray and digital combo. I'm like,
that's on Prime.
Yeah,
it's on. You can finish it on Prime. And I mean,
at the time it wasn't. Yeah, I already bought it. It's 15. Fine.
Yeah.
I'd rather spend $15 for Kevin Smith than more money for other people, or even less for money for other people. Like, I'd rather give him that than Michael Bay. So of all the creators out there, I feel better giving him my money.
I don't want to bag on it. It's just not that great. It doesn't have the charm that it thinks it has. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All those were okay decisions. The best decision was getting into He-Man Revelation. He did a great job. I don't care what the internet says, unless you two disagree with me. So my initial takeaway was I loved it.
I really enjoyed it. I can see that people were expecting more He-Man, but that was not a problem for me at all. And I mean, I I kind of feel like Kevin Smith and I probably have very similar views on this. I really like Teela. I actually wanted to marry Teela when I was 5 years old, and I really like Orko. So both of those stories in this were really, really good.
Dude, Orko got his due.
I know, finally. So,
I thought I really
a lot
thought
of that stuff Kevin Smith and I were really, really in tune.
Orko got his due.
Yeah, but we actually got to meet more of the characters. We get to get a better understanding of Mossman too a little bit. I mean, he's one of the lower end ones, but Man at Arms, we got to learn more about Man at Arms that we made that unless you read the comics or unless you like got in depth into the lore, you didn't know a lot of the history, and like you got to learn more about these people. And it wasn't just the He-Man show; it was the Masters of the Universe. It was.
I think I've read 12 issues of Masters comics total, probably. I know that I can't remember most of the episodes that I watched. I know I watched at one point probably a majority. I can't say all. So it's like coming into it, even as a non-completionist for Masters of the Universe, they did a great job of being like, hey, this is kind of its own, like, we're going to explore what we want to explore, and that's the stuff you need to know. And so it's like, Man at Arms is Teela's dad. Okay, well, we get it. Cool. Like, now let's tell the story that no one told anyway. It doesn't matter that they, have been in 200 episodes or whatever of that show. 100 and I can't remember the number now. I said I would remember the number forever, and I'd forgotten it now.
I mean, so many of them are just like, you, He-Man. Like there's not a lot that's going on in those shows. Like a lot.
I kind of liked. I liked the. So when people said there wasn't enough, I'll get to what I was going to say here. When people said there wasn't enough He-Man, I liked the beginning of every episode up until the story really got rolling and was like, okay, we can't take breaks from the story now because we've got like 3 episodes to finish this entire arc. But the beginning of every episode before that was like He-Man and Skeletor doing their stupid thing where it's like, ha ha ha, I've won again. You suck, He-Man. I'm the guy from the deep, and I'm here to get shoved off the boat. And like, it's like everyone just sucks the entire time.
Merman.
Yeah, for like 3 minutes. 3 minutes at the beginning of every one. They're like, look, guys, the 80s episodes aren't that great. You're not going to miss it. It seemed like he had a thesis, which was like, the 80s episodes are fun to remember, but like, look how bad they were in our own style. Now let's talk about a real story with these characters. It seemed like they did for those first couple episodes. I thought that was very smart, personally.
Yeah. Brutal cliffhanger at the end, but I really enjoyed the show.
Yeah. I wonder though, he says in the after show, sorry to cut you off, Ken, but he says in the after show they killed He-Man, or they killed Adam. He says very specifically, we killed Adam. Spoilers, I guess. Whoops. I guess it's not brand new, but he says we killed Adam twice. So I don't know what the cliffhanger really, other than like Skeletor's in charge now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think Adam's dead. I think I don't know.
He said dead.
Yeah. I mean, I think, I don't know.
130 episodes.
I don't totally buy into it yet. I mean, we'll see where we go, which is if it's very much like, oh no, he did, and he didn't make it back to Preternia, so that's fine. Yeah. But I mean, it just right, yeah. So I mean, I don't know. Again, comics, so it's like, sure he can't. And
sure.
I've already just from like a very precursory Google search already had some stuff because of Kevin Smith. It's funny how different Kevin Smith and J.J. Abrams are in their like level of secrecy. Because like, just like, I do a quick Google search for Masters of the Universe Part 2 when it's supposed to come out, if they've released that or whatever, and they show me this tweet from Kevin Smith spoiling something from season 2, and I'm like, all right. Like in the Google results, it shows the tweet, and I'm like, well, all right, that's already
really,
that's already out of the bag. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
So
was it like a character that shows up or something, or?
very,
Oh.
very, I mean, it's only like, what's Twitter? So it's 100 and whatever characters, but like, it's like he's like, I just finished scoring this one scene that is
Oh.
very spoiler heavy. So like, I was like, and I like, that was the Google search that came up when I'm like, hey, I wonder if they've said when this is going to come out again. And I was like, oh, well, that's okay. Thanks, Kevin Smith.
Oh.
It's that he just finished scoring the wedding of Skeletor and He-Man, and he's like, "I'm so happy to finally have put this out into media." And the internet lost their damn mind. It was amazing.
Is Booster Gold involved in this? Because I feel like they're headed that direction.
I would be so down for that. They're just like, let's do
Crossover.
This. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, well, I mean, things got pretty screwed up there. I liked the additional lore of like, hey, all this stuff doesn't make sense unless we make it make sense. So let's talk about how the castle works and how the castle's not really Castle Grayskull, it's something else. And I don't really want to talk about the blowback online for Teela being the main character, because there's really no merit in discussing it. The story is the story, and it was good, and so it doesn't really matter to me personally. I mean, I'll give you guys the opportunity if you want to go off on it, but I feel like there were so many characters in the original. Do you think going forward, since it's not He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, obviously He-Man probably comes back. I mean, it just is what it is. Do you think they delve deeper into bringing back characters, or we develop characters that we had, like, oh, well, we got to bring back Orko, or we have to develop, not Moss Man probably, but, screw it. What was the one that Jay Muse plays? Stinkor? Like, bring Stinkor back?
Was that Jay Muse? I didn't even process.
Yeah, Stinkor is Jay Muse.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah.
You patchouli smelling. Oh man.
I mean, obviously they've set up the cult, the tech cult, as like a
with
secondary
Triclops
bad guy.
Yeah.
With Triclops and his crew.
Whiplash and another one my brain won't give me, but yeah.
I want more Trapjaw.
Trapjaw, thank you.
More Trapjaw. Trapjaw got messed up, didn't he? Isn't he the one that got screwed up by Teela pretty hard in the fight there? I can't remember. One of them got like blinded by.
Yeah, he got pretty beat. Or well,
Was
no,
it Trapjaw?
Triclops got blinded, but he also has 3 eyes, so there's probably 2 more in the back that are still okay.
Yeah.
But then I know Trapjaw got a pretty good whooping, but as far as the blinding, I think that was Triclops.
Okay.
Which was that was kind of like the poetic side, like, oh, you
one of them
blinded
got
me.
like it must have been Trapjaw, because I'm remembering somebody getting an explosive shoved in their mouth.
Yeah, that was Trapjaw.
Yeah.
In his mouth, jaw.
Yeah.
It's all very poetic. I mean, Kevin Smith is not the most subtle guy, but which
is perfect for this
fine.
media.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Kids cartoons, it's great. Like, it's just like, there it is.
Yeah.
It's right
I
on
don't
the
know
nose.
that this is a kid's cartoon for sure. I'm pretty
that's
sure it's
fair.
an adult cartoon for kids that watch. It's that beautiful side thing of like, and we'll get to this when we talk about Bad Batch in a little bit, because it doesn't quite do it the same way, which is Kevin Smith had the genius idea, which has been related to before in all other media, which is that it's better to remember things vaguely and do stuff based on your vague memory rather than try to get it perfect.
Yeah.
Right? So like, I know that Smith and the other writers that were in this show, he talks about the other writers that were on there literally reading and writing and doing everything. They read every comic, which is how they came up with Lieutenant, what's her name?
Andra.
Andra, that's right. I want to say Anya, but it's not. It's Andra. So they came up with Lieutenant Andra, and they changed her from the comics, and they did all the research. But at the end of it, like, all of that is minor trivia, and none of it really matters in terms of watching the show. And so like somebody like myself that was never going to go back and before this watch 130 episodes of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, go track down all the comics and do all that stuff, gets to watch it and be like, I remember this and that, and have the right nostalgia feelings and not have to feel like I missed anything. And I think that was what you were talking about just now. That was the kind of like magic of it in in a weird way. I don't know.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh, I went back and watched the 3 Ghostbusters movies, and then I watched the new Ghostbusters movie, and I don't like it because XYZ, right?
Are you referring to now? Now you
You've
took me
watched
on.
the one that's not out yet?
Yeah, I
you're
did.
taking
I
me on
watched it. You didn't see?
Well, now I'm just angry.
Yeah, very upset because there's new toys coming out, and I don't have the proper context. And also, the toys are spoiling the new movie. That's pissing me off.
Oh, are they?
Yeah,
bummer.
I mean, some of it's kind of like stuff you could have like taken for granted, but it's also like, oh, I kind of would like to have that reveal in the movie theater because unfortunately they're only going to do it in movie theaters, which a segment of me understands, but also a segment of me of like is no, we're not out of the woods yet. Like we're still into the woods. Why are we already like no? You can only watch it in theaters. Like Shang-Chi, I really want to watch Shang-Chi, but it's only going to be available in theaters, and it's like it's just tough.
Wait. For 3 months. You have to wait 3 months, and then it'll come out on Disney Plus Premium. And
Right.
How did
and
Shang-Chi get the Disney Plus delayed when Black Widow didn't?
I think because it was one. I think definitely part of that was due to the lawsuit. I'm sure they're like, nope, we're only going to do it in the theater. That way we don't have to face this repercussions. I also think that they are anticipating hopefully getting back to better numbers in the theaters.
Yeah,
but
so they're
also
trying to push the numbers up in the theater, huh?
yeah, and I mean this is just my own like guesswork. But yeah, and I think that there's probably other things in the equation there.
That pushes the window out 6 months instead of 3 months, because right now with the newer releases it was 3 months in theater and online premium. So then it'll be 3 months in theater, 3 months premium, so that'll be 6 months.
I don't know that for sure. I'm just guessing that like they'll probably still try and push Disney Plus with it.
Yeah.
I would assume that Disney Plus would come before the like DVD sales, and then after that, then it'll like if I had to guess, I would say that it would go theaters, and then they'll wait some amount of time, and then Disney Plus Premium, and then some amount of time, and then DVD, and then some amount of time, and then for free on Disney Plus, so that they can try and maximize
That's really
off
annoying.
the cash.
And it's like I want to support it, but I'm also like it's not doesn't feel super comfortable going to theater not knowing who you're going with. Like it just I don't know, that's a personal thing. And I'm looking forward to apologies. I'm looking forward to both that movie and Ghostbusters. I think Black Widow also had the unfortunate thing of they were already set to release a year ago. And that's another where they're like, you know what, we've waited long enough. Let's try and recoup some expenses from this.
Sure.
I think that may have been part of that as well. And then they're still experimenting with things on that front, because it's like you had Soul, which was already included with Disney Plus, but then Mulan was extra, or Raya was extra.
It seems like the Disney films and the Marvel films are extra. Pixar, they've done Luca and Soul direct. Like both of those Pixar films were just available. So I wonder if Pixar becomes their big draw for Disney Plus. If like, well, we won't even theater the Pixar stuff anymore. We'll just put it straight on Disney Plus. I'd be curious to know. Have you read a lot about that lawsuit?
I haven't. I don't know. I know that there also was one supposedly that Emma Stone had.
She quashed hers to get Cruella
2. Yeah. So they've got Cruella 2 coming out, and then also there was one maybe coming from Emily Blunt because of Jungle Cruise, but I don't know if that ever came to fruition.
I doubt it.
So the actors are suing?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
I figured it was the theaters.
No,
but why would the actors sue?
Because part of their payment for the movie was a certain amount of in theater ticket sales or funds, box office. Sorry, I couldn't think of the right word. So it's like if Black Widow hit this much in box office, she got another 50 million.
Oh, I see.
But because you now have it on Disney Plus with premium, which doesn't count towards that box office, she's now ineligible for that bonus. And she's like, that was never discussed in the original contract negotiations, and you should properly compensate me for that. And it's a valid thing, because people should be compensated for their things, but it's also a millionaire fighting a billionaire. So part of me is like, okay. But
Yeah,
that's a personal side of it. But yeah, she did her job, and the contracts, they should have approached that conversation before it went to Disney Plus with her as like, and her lawyers been like, hey, we're gonna do it because of this, because of the pandemic. So let's discuss how this is gonna work out. They did, but they didn't come to the table. So, and apparently to her case, her and her lawyers did go to Disney saying like, hey, since you're gonna put this out on Disney Plus or premium access, that needs to be discussed in the contracts, and that never was. So she has a valid concern.
Well, unfortunately, she has probably blackballed herself from things going forward that she's not directly involved in. I'm not saying that's right, but I'm saying I think that's the immediate fallout of that. They said that they've canceled at least one film with her, and that probably canceling another. I don't know how you. It's hard to care, I think, is what you said, and I know that contract is very important to her and a lot of people. That, you know, it'll rewrite a lot of stuff. Even if it's settled out of court, Disney will then have to adjust their expectations with other actors going forward. You know.
Yeah.
I think it speaks to what they thought of her in terms of what they expected from Black Widow more than anything. When, like, if they had done that to Dwayne Johnson, you know, they didn't. They worked out whatever they worked out with him with Jungle Cruise, right? But they did it to her and didn't try to work anything out. Or maybe they did. I don't know. We'll find out when everybody's deposed, unless they settle out of court.
Yeah. Well, then that's part of it too, is like that you heard about Emily Blunt also having something possibly come, but nothing from Dwayne. And does that mean that he simply had a better contract going in, so that it was not even a question?
Yeah.
And that also then starts that discussion of, you know, are contract negotiations harder for female actors? And that's another not tangent, but that's another road to go down. But like I said, it's definitely something that people should be compensated for their work, and that's definitely worthwhile. And it's very similar to like, oh, well, you didn't discuss the digital rights back then, so you can't release the Wonder Years with our soundtrack. It's like, okay, well, we didn't think about that, but at some point we should have come to the table and had that discussion so that we can publish this now with the proper things. Like but media companies are always like, let's do whatever's cheapest, and that's corporate America. That's
a lot of it. A lot of it comes from, well, there's two things that happen. One is they assume they have the rights to something until someone tells them no. And that's just the way those companies work. And the second thing is a lot of stuff in this, having worked in specifically back-end lot cataloging and all sorts of stuff when I very first started, I would get tapes of stuff, and I'd have to digitize and figure it out and catalog it, and who's this actor, who's that actor, who's the director of this, and it was obscure stuff. And finding someone who knew one specific detail or two specific details about something that sat on beta tape for 20 years. And you know what I mean? Like, yeah, go to the Wonder Years. You know, the Wonder Years, a lot of the soundtrack's easier to figure out. But like, not for Black Widow, but for older things that are coming to digital, there's a lot of, I'll just assume, because otherwise we're going to spend months and years before we get this online. If we just get it online, someone will come forward and we'll deal with it then. And that's one avenue that they just choose to go down when they have this older content. And I think the digital rights thing, to me, you have to start to blame the lawyer a little bit, because the Actors Guild and the Screenwriting Guild dealt with this 15 years ago. You know, during the last screenwriter's strike, one of the big things was like, I'm not getting any residuals because you plan to put this on Netflix, and I don't get residual from my executive producing credit on Netflix or my screenwriting credit on Netflix. I only get it if you syndicate it on TV, and that's not acceptable. And so the part of the strike dealt with creating a pay structure for a lot of that stuff. And it's kind of shocking to see millionaires fighting billionaires over stuff that guilds were fighting over for pennies, right?
Yeah. And then like I said, that, I mean, given the original, that's part of it too, is like that the idea of a pandemic and then a simultaneous release on digital and the theatrical could have never been thought of 3 years back when they wrote the contracts for this movie, let alone when it was filmed and then produced and finished and signed off on, and then it sat in a tin for how long during the pandemic, and they're like, well, we're going to release it when, how, we don't know, and then they're like, let's just do the both. let's just do this. And yeah, there could have been there should have been a discussion. Like you said, they release it and they say like, well, we'll see what the problems are. We'll address the problems when they come. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. It's like, right, but you could just check the bridge out before you go across. No, just go across, release it, we'll take care of it. Like
I heard a great quote. I would think I was watching. I think it's. God, I can't remember what it was in. It was in a movie I was watching. It was like, we'll cross that bridge when we burn it down. Or something like that. It was like, yeah, we'll cross that bridge when we burn it down. It's like, no problem.
Oh man, and it's just they didn't think it. They're just like, well, we own this, we'll do what we please. It's like, no, you had certain obligations, and yeah, I definitely think that needs to be. I hope that gets rectified. I also appreciate being able to watch movies at home easier, and to the idea of like, yeah, it'll be released, and then maybe even if it's 3 months, that's even longer. But if it's a month later, that's still enough time where, heck, if you were reading stuff on the West Coast this last Wednesday, if you're reading comic books, the new Batman Urban Legends #6 came out, and they revealed, which is spoilers for this, guys, if you don't want to hear about it, sorry, we're just going to talk about it, that Tim Drake is bisexual.
Hey, whoa, spoilers. I didn't have time to take my headphones off.
Oh.
just kidding.
But like that was already like all over CBR and stuff like that, and so I'm like, if
CBR is the worst.
Yeah, if
they
you're
are
reading
the worst. I have blocked them on every media that I have because they literally post. Oh man, Kit, you're talking about like you Google search something. So, I was searching something else, and CBR came up as the third post, and it says this character will die because of casting updates, and that's the title. This character on Walking Dead will die, casting updates. Okay, pretty good, non-spoilery title, right? I can scroll by that and not know who's gonna die. Except that the picture that comes with the article is a giant picture of, spoilers, Sasha, who was leaving for Star Trek Discovery. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah. And it's just like, yeah, so that was out, and that was on, like, CBR. You said on the internet, it's right there, it's staring you in the face. And so it's like, that's what I don't want to watch Shang-Chi like a month later, because that's going to happen. That's why it's like, I can try and avoid it for the day, because like when Bad Batch, just for what we're going to talk about later, is like, it'll air at midnight, and Ebony and I won't watch it because we don't stay up that late, and we don't like. I can make it throughout the day, and just like, okay, but when she gets home after work, we'll watch Bad Batch. Cool, it's fine. But like, put that on a month, that's not going to happen. I'm going to have everything ruined for me within that first weekend. So no, like especially for Shang-Chi, the new Marvel, like that's good. I can't. I don't want to go through that experience. That's why, like, when I did work at the comic shop, I went out and saw things at midnight release, because I don't want to deal with someone coming in. Oh, did you see when Shang-Chi decided to fight Galactus? Like, no, I didn't, because I have a life and I have time things, and you're killing me.
Galactus?
Yeah, I said the most absurd thing so that it wouldn't be real and it wouldn't happen.
I was like, movie. Fill me in on this. If Shang-Chi can take on down Galactus, I need to know.
Yeah. I went with the most absurd, so that if I would have said it like, oh, how he fought X character, and then X character shows up in the movie, you'd be like, Ken, how dare you?
I think there was only one episode of Bad Batch where I was like, oh wow, that's like a thing that I'm glad I didn't have spoiled. The rest of it was pretty non-spoilable. I mean, overall. But Kit, just so since we're already on Marvel, I've had this thought rattling around in my head. Robert Downey Jr. out. Chris Evans out. Probably Scarlett Johansson is now out.
Well, I mean, spoilers, but she dead.
Who's dead? I mean, you know what I mean?
I mean,
like, who's dead?
No, I hear you.
Who's dead? My guess is Tom Holland leaves probably pretty quick here after this Spider-Man contract runs out with Sony.
That's a shame.
That's more of a yeah.
I really enjoyed the Tom Holland movies.
Unless they're able to somehow buy the entirety of the Sony corporation, Sony will quit on Tom Holland after this next movie. I guarantee it.
I mean, Sony Entertainment's been trying to be bought for a while, so I can see Marvel being like, all right. I mean, it's been
Disney can't possibly have enough money to buy Sony now. They paid $80 billion right before the collapse for Fox, and then their theme park shut down for a year. Their theater ticket revenues tanked. I can't possibly imagine them being able to swing that magnitude of a deal.
Yeah. If only they'd waited another 6 months to buy Fox, huh?
Yeah.
I think of $40 billion instead. So you've got at least 4 of the top, things that people are coming to Marvel for. You've got just mean like the universe in general has started to actor wise shift.
Right. Well, that was almost planned for too, and that's why we're getting.
But the actors that are leaving have not been very kind about it afterwards. I think Chris Evans has been pretty quiet about it, but like Robert Downey Jr. clearly, didn't like the way he left.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think that's a secret. I think that he's, quietly, loudly been distancing himself from everybody that's been related to that area of his life. This is now a very public fight with Scarlett Johansson. They had some opportunities to try and sneak Chris Evans back into stuff and chose not to. I don't know. I have a real weird feeling things are headed for like a larger detonation and reset with on the actor side. I don't know am I the only one with that like kind of weird? I get a weird
I've kind of
look.
suspected that ever since they got the X-Men rights back, and I think maybe the Fantastic Four. I'm not sure about. I know that they have the X-Men rights. I'm not sure if they have the Fantastic Four ones or not. But like as soon as they got those back, I was and just sort of the way that the natural arc of where the Avengers, the first 10 years had gone, I was like, I'm expecting some sort of reboot or
Crisis.
What's yeah, that sort of thing. I was trying to think of the guy. I was trying to think of the Beyonder, something like that.
Oh yeah,
Secret Wars.
Yeah, some way of rebooting it so that they can restart everything up. Because I really don't see them trying to integrate the existing Marvel Cinematic Universe with like the existing Fox, like the Hugh Jackman X-Men universe and whatnot.
No.
It'd be new. You mean you at some point we'll hit some kind of like some multiverse of madness or something that's out there that shakes things up, and then you get to a new status quo.
But I do hope that at some point they get Chris Evans and Chris Evans in the same room together so that they can incorporate him being the Human Torch and him being Captain America.
Oh my God!
Because like I've had this perfect scene in my head for like ever since he was Captain America of like
Johnny Storm showing up.
So Johnny Storm's standing in the room, Captain America's standing in the room. They're talking to each other. Tony Stark is in the room and he's looking back and forth at them.
We can make this even better.
Noticing it, right? And he's like, "Am I the only one who sees this? Like nobody else is going to comment on the fact that they look exactly the same."
No, we're adding to your scene. Because then Michael B. Jordan, Johnny Storm shows up and Killmonger shows up, and they're standing across from each other also. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to cover. I hadn't heard any type of negativity from RDJ about the Marvel stuff. From my understanding, him and Feige were pretty good at the, towards the end there. I know Chris Evans felt a lot of stress from playing Captain America.
Yeah.
I don't know what you are alluding to is like they've had opportunities to bring him back, but I don't know what you are referencing there.
They didn't try. They brought in other actors to What If. They didn't try to bring him into What If.
We don't know necessarily like what that was. Like do we know that he was available and that was an opportunity, or just that since they did recast, they had the phenomenal and fantastic Joshua Keaton.
Yeah, Joshua Keaton's good
as Steve Rogers,
Steve Carter,
Steve Evans. Ken good with words. But I mean, like, not everybody came back for all those roles, and Tommy Lee Jones didn't come back, so they went with Bradley Cooper not Bradley Cooper, Bradley Whitford.
They went with it. I mean, he wasn't even playing the same character. Bradley Whitford was not playing the same general, was he? Oh, he went out again. Oh, anyway. And then you've also got, I forgot to mention, I mean, Captain Marvel is already rumored to be over after the next movie, right? They're done with Carol Danvers in general, is the rumor there. So it definitely...
I hadn't heard that either.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that one's pretty public, too. That Carol Danvers
they weren't playing the same
out.
general, by the way.
They were not.
They were playing different characters, but I'm saying, like,
yeah.
They didn't. If they had Tommy Lee Jones, would they have kept that character? That's what.
No,
I'm
I
saying.
think I think that one is one of those things where it's like, oh, we don't need to get Tommy Lee back. We can do something else here.
Yeah.
Because they changed the whole room around, right? Like that's the whole point of that first. Since we're talking about Marvel, that her first episode of What If really was highlighting. I think for the people that didn't know what If was like. We're going to do a narration that shows you exactly the steps of how we do a What If episode for the future. And it is like, okay, Peggy Carter's going to change her mind here. Everyone in the room will then die except for Peggy Carter and this other person that is not Tommy Lee Jones. And Steve gets shot. It's like, it was very good, by the way. I don't know. I mean, like
I loved it.
You were absolutely
phenomenal.
right. Like I watched it after you said that, Kit, and it was like, this is absolutely a Fleischman era like love letter, it's like,
and I don't know if that's how the rest of the series art's going to be, but like even if it's just for that one episode, that episode was perfect. Like
it was great
because it's like World War II era. Yeah, it was fantastic. I loved that episode.
I loved all the Captain America references. Like you could have to do a USO tour.
Yeah.
And I also I love the design of the Hydra Stomper. Like it's like there's bits of Rocketeer in there for me, like from some of the mask.
It's like someone took the Rocketeer suit and put it onto the very first Iron Man suit from the
Mark
Afghan
I.
desert, the Mark I.
Yeah. It's just like it's perfect. And then they still have the toy coming out too. It has the rockets and Peggy.
They have a Hydra Stomper toy coming out.
Yeah, it looks great. And
how big is it? I gotta know how big
It's good size. It's because Peggy can ride on the back of it because there's a Captain Carter coming.
They're doing a Captain Carter too.
They're doing an entire wave for What If.
Man,
I can send you links after the podcast.
But I might have to.
It looks so good.
I hate that I want
beefy. That. Yeah.
I hate that I want this. Oh my god, it's $60.
Yeah, it's not. It should be $52.99. It should be $52.99.
$55.99 on Big Bad.
Oh, Big Bad's. Ooh, they're up. That's not cool.
Big Bad usually charges a few bucks extra, but maybe 10%. I don't know.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be like
I want
double
this.
or anything.
I want this so that I can make it look dirty. It's too clean looking.
You gonna weather it? Yeah.
I would wash this with black and then dry brush it with some silver to get the edges to look like the paint's wearing off. This would look beautiful with some paint work.
Yeah, definitely.
That is a really nice mold.
Oh wait, sorry, that's Obadiah. Hold on, I'm just trying to find it.
Oh, you found an Obadiah stain toy? Yeah, I pasted it.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. He's got it.
Yeah. All it needed was a fin on the head. I would have been.
We were gamers.
Yeah, if there was a fin on the head, I'd be in love. Disney owns Rocketeer. They could have done it.
They own the movie. They don't own all of because like the most recent toys are more. They're tied more to the comics, I think, and it's because the Disney movie is a Disney movie, but it's not. The rights themselves are still kind of the original creators, I believe.
Oh, that's good. I mean, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I'm good for that. It's just, although because they even did a recent Rocketeer cartoon for kids.
Yes, they did. Yeah. Where can she stand on here? I don't see.
On
the back, she has a little thing there. I see.
Yeah, there's a grip and there's two footholds.
Oh, on your link, huh?
Yeah, it's not the best, but you can see it in the link.
It looks bigger in the show than this.
Yeah, it looks pretty massive. It looks like it probably 2 times the size of a person, but yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait to pick it up.
I like the ending of that episode with the oh, it's totally like she's coming out of the portal like what was it Captain Marvel did?
Oh, yeah.
Which came out of the Tesseract portal at the end.
Oh, okay. Well, Captain Marvel did?
Who came out of the Tesseract portal in the original universe?
Loki, I thought. In the original Marvel universe, in that scene where there's where it's Nick Fury and
No, it's Nick Fury and all them, but I thought
and Hawkeye. No, that's a Loki that comes out at that point.
Yeah, and then after him, I thought it was somebody else because they stick around. I'm pretty sure.
It's not
What
Captain
is my
Marvel.
brain doing?
She, merging stuff together because you have comics and movies and cartoons and all this stuff jumbled together.
Yeah.
That's my best.
No.
If
Totally Carol that comes out of the Tesseract portal.
okay.
I'm pretty sure.
All right. For those tune in next time, so when we write this wrong and find out what's what.
No, I'm sure I'm wrong, but
So Disney has what if, we have what's what.
What's
yeah. Okay. What's what? Next episode. I'm writing it down. What's what? Who came out of the dang portal? Who's portaled where? What's what?
who's portaled where?
Who's done a portal? I know you're right that Loki came out of one at one point and destroyed like a whole bunch of stuff.
And then he mind controlled Hawkeye, and he's like, "All right, let's get out of here." And they all run off in jeeps, and Maria Hill's there, and they're running, and it's the beginning of Avengers, because that's when Hawkeye gets mind controlled with the. I want to say the soul gem is inside there. I don't know. No, so
there's a second time they're in that same exact place, and the portal does something else. I thought.
Okay.
My memory's bad. I don't know. I just started watching all these movies. I should remember.
Aren't you doing a rewatch? Yeah, you're doing a rewatch.
That's just why it's in my head. There's a second time they're in that room doing something with the portal.
I mean, there could be.
I am too. Where are you in the MCU?
Oh, so we're doing chronological, not release.
Okay. Is there a big difference other than Captain America?
The beginning is all jumbled up. I'll find the list real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's like Captain America.
I'm doing release order, but I just got done with Captain America, and then
release order. Release order is weirder now because you get the end scenes that are kind of like.
Yeah, all the Easter eggs and stuff don't kind of flow if you do it outside of release order.
Right. Okay, here's the order I've watched them in. Load thing. Okay. So first Avenger, then Captain Marvel, then Iron Man 1, then Iron Man 2, then the horrendous Incredible Hulk.
I'm sorry, that movie is. Did you rewatch it and still feels horrendous, or is just like meh?
That is the most garbage fire film I've seen in the last 10 years.
Have you seen Hulk?
It's not part of the MCU, man. And no, I haven't seen. I have not seen Hulk in the last 10 years. Ang Lee's Hulk, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, Ang Lee's Hulk. Compare Hulk to the Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Hulk is far better than it was given credit for.
It's a pile of poop versus pile of poop I stepped in. I don't care. It's still poop.
It looks like a Mike Deodato Hulk. It looks good.
I felt more meh about the Edward Norton Hulk.
The Edward Norton Hulk makes absolutely no sense. The storyline in it is
I was
garbage.
like, this is not the best MCU movie.
Right, right. All I'm looking for is Kit's response of just like, whatever.
Okay.
I don't think it's
you're looking for validation of a and Kit gave it to you, and I'm here to give the counterpoint of garbage fire.
Although I will say I was really surprised. So I'm watching them in release order. Okay. I was really surprised that because I watched Iron Man 2 like once when it came out, and then it just sort of had zero, like it just wasn't very memorable for me. And then when I rewatched it, I actually liked it a lot better this last time when I was
going to say that when we got there. I was going to say that. Yeah.
I think I might like Iron Man 2, and I know that this is complete blasphemy.
Keep going.
I think I might like Iron Man 2 better than Thor. Like I really liked Iron Man 2 the second time.
I was with you. I was with you for a second.
Thor, but yeah. But I mean,
the first Thor movie's not the best Thor movie.
Right. Yeah. No.
Yeah.
And that's the
So-
one I'm talking about, the first Thor movie. Although I have always liked Iron Man 2 better than Thor 2 because I think that Thor 2 is a pretty not great movie.
Let me tell you, it's better than the Incredible Hulk. The Incredible Hulk reset my entire opinion of how good these movies are.
It was at the very beginning. That one, Iron Man came out before. Like
All of
Iron
them.
Man was
Iron Man
released
is number
before,
one
right?
in the release.
The Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Iron Man's first, Captain
But they
America's
came out
second.
like a month apart, right?
Yes, they
A
did.
few
But
months.
remember,
Yeah.
it was a month and a half,
early.
2 months. But remember, Hulk was not made by the same
Hulk's a
people at the
Universal, yeah.
time. Yeah, it's a Universal film,
Yeah.
so I had to rent it because it's not on Disney Plus.
Because it's not a Disney Plus.
No,
I
it's
got it
on
for free. I got
Prime.
a phone or a tablet or something, and they gave me 2 movies for free, and one of them was Incredible Hulk, and the other one was Ice Age.
You paid for the Incredible Hulk with that tablet, and you didn't get
Yeah.
it for free. You paid for it.
So I own a digital copy of that. So
Ice Age is a good movie.
yeah.
Okay, so Iron Man 1. Okay, so Captain America, Captain Marvel, Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2. The Iron Man movies are okay, but I already, in the rewatch at this point, had started to dislike Robert Downey's character. Not his acting. His acting is good. But when I rewatched, I was like, he's kind of not as likable as I remember him being in those movies. And then it goes to Incredible Hulk, Thor, which I thought when I rewatched, I was like, the costuming in this is ridiculous. And I didn't remember the gigantic shoulder things that made the capes go like 3 miles up. But it was okay. And then it goes to Avengers, Iron Man 3, which I think that I had missed part of or something because I didn't remember the whole movie, but I definitely remembered the beginning and the end. But I didn't remember loving James Spader as much. And what? Oh no,
James Spader?
I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Age of Ultron. See, I'm telling you, I'm getting them all mixed up.
That's fine.
Yeah, so Iron Man 3 not as memorable as I thought. Then it goes to Thor: The Dark World. Not as bad as I remembered. I thought it was fine.
Okay.
Again,
I haven't watched it since I watched it when it came out. So
so
maybe-
you see the
and like
kind
I
of
said,
like you can kind of see
my
the
opinion of
progression.
Iron Man 2 changed a lot, so maybe when I get to Thor 2, it won't be as
I
bad
think
as
it's
I remember.
perfectly serviceable film. Unfortunately, it's just kind of it doesn't have much going on, but it does give you the like what happened to Natalie Portman moment. So you
No,
can kind
wait,
of see
she's in Thor 2. What do you mean? What happened to her? She's in Thor.
why
2.
she's not why Thor won't get near her in the later films is because of what happens in Thor 2.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
Right?
Gotcha.
Like you keep
Yeah.
wondering if you skip Thor 2, you'd be like, what happened to the woman he's in love with, right? But like
Yeah.
you know, he has to give her up for the whole like I can't be
don't
around
want to
her,
hurt
she'll
her.
get hurt. Yeah. You can kind of see the arc they're going on. And then you go to Winter Soldier, and then this one switches it up and goes to Guardians 2 instead of trying to like fit anything else there. Age of Ultron. Okay, so now we can talk about James Spader. I liked Age of Ultron the movie in terms of like the character and the repercussions of creating that thing, but I am infuriated at the end of that with what comes later with Civil War, like because you watch those much closer together than I think you would have before, and
Yeah.
Tony Stark deserves to be thrown in jail forever at the end of Ultron. When multiple times you watch that, like you've watched this thing in this order of characters develop over time through other movies, and like he just doesn't get it. And I think that's the point of that and Civil War, but there's no payoff for the viewer of like, oh, and since he doesn't get it, he's punished. He's like he's like never punished, right?
And yeah, until he gets it in the end, and then he's still punished.
Yeah, I
Because-
guess, but but man, Spader does such a good job as Ultron. So good.
Yeah,
I loved it.
agreed.
He may have in my rewatch become my favorite villain. I don't know.
I think it's true.
Then you go from Ultron to Ant-Man, Civil War, which I remember being really upset by Civil War when I watched it the first time, because I thought a lot of the logic didn't make sense. When I rewatched it the second time, I noticed things I didn't notice before, especially in Black Panther's character development, where I thought, okay, there's some big holes in that movie. First of all, the world is upset with superheroes because they're destroying things. But in the middle of that movie, the agency that's in charge of telling the heroes that they're doing too much damage green lights a chopper throwing 50 millimeter rounds into buildings to try and shoot Bucky Barnes. Like, they killed that helicopter alone killed like 20 people, guaranteed. You know? And then I was
get
really,
him? No.
No, just keep shooting from a helicopter into downtown Germany with a gigantic cannon. But no, it's the superhero's fault. Like, where logically the writing doesn't make sense there. Like, they would be more restricted if that's the point of this movie, right? But no, like, we're just gonna still have the action scenes and everyone's gonna blow everything up, and it's somehow Bucky's fault.
There's too much collateral damage for you guys.
It's just
fair enough. But what about you?
Aggravating.
We're talking about you.
It's physically aggravating to me how poorly that part of the, like, whose fault is it? It's yours is written. And I thought, and because I was aggravated by that, I got caught up in thinking Black Panther's story was also that way, whereas they were more subtle about it, and I didn't catch the first time about, like, his father doesn't want this type of stuff to happen anymore. He says, I'm not my father. But the I'm not my father line came across to me before as, like, I'm just going to be violent anyway because that's how I am, versus, like, I'm just really angry. But I think this time I caught more of, like, at the end when he's talking to Zemo, he's like, no. I get it now. Like, I totally get it now. You don't get to kill yourself because of all these things. And, like, and that came around to me and really saves the movie for me. But the whole Tony Stark just going ape on everybody while also saying that everybody else is the problem and that I'm the problem and that we're the problem. And Tony Stark's development there really pissed me deep. I think you can tell.
No.
That's how I felt about Civil War, the comic and the movie.
Yeah. I really, that was a mental, I mean, Hulk is bad, but, like, Civil War to me is like a low point of logic in all of Marvel. And then we watched Black Panther after that.
That's exactly how I feel about the comic. So when the comic came out, I was like, okay, I understand that they're having this discussion, but, like, that comic, because it was like a year-long universe event, I was at, like, fairly early on, I was like, they would never, ever get to this. Like, there is no way that Steve and Tony would lose their minds to this point to where they would actually get to this level of aggression against each other and, like, be hiring supervillains as bounty hunters to go get, you know, like, I was just like, this is, I can't stay with this storyline. Like, I can't. It's gone too far. It's unbelievable for me. Even as a comic, it's unbelievable to me that these two characters would have diverged this far and had these kinds of irreparable arguments that they would not, like, because superheroes get into fights, fist fights all the time, and then they get over it relatively quickly. They get into theoretical discussions and disagreements all the time, but, like, they don't try to. Superman and Batman don't typically try to, like, kill each other and unless they, you know
unless
what I mean?
he's Zack Snyder.
Right.
Yeah.
But like they don't, there's a certain level of like, yes, we're going to disagree, but, like, there's definitely this line that we're not going to cross. Like, we'll get into fisticuffs because we're mad at each other. Kind of like a locker room, you know, scuffle or whatever type thing. But, like, we're not, like, trying to, like, hunt down the other half of the Avengers and put them into prison forever because they won't get a registration card. I was just like, man, I can't. Like, this is just, they've lost me at this point.
Yeah. I think that moment happens in Ultron, actually, for me, in this watch, because there's a moment when they're going to create Vision, and Banner doesn't stand up to Tony, right? Where Banner says, like, you're going to do the same thing again that got us in trouble the first time. And like the frustration level should have been through the roof at that point for every Avenger with Stark, you know, and like it's not. And I just don't understand. I think that maybe they tried to hype up Steve at that moment in Civil War to compensate for the fact that like they got into the fight there and it never really resolved. But like Tony has no reason to be that angry except like, oh, well, he killed my parents, so I'm going to literally kill Steve Rogers because he lied to me. It's like, dude, you were responsible for the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people like 2 movies ago, and no one
or
said
just
boo.
your first movie.
Or yeah.
Like even in the like all the way back, like he doesn't he never fully takes responsibility for his actions, and that's I mean, that's his giant story arc by the end of it all is that he's like, oh no, it is like, oh, I'm taking responsibility, I'm taking the cost of this, and that's where we get the snap.
He just on a watch through again has become much more unlikable than I think the first time through, when it was like, you know, he's got a great actor behind him, but the story this time is more strong because I've seen Downey perform it already, and you're seeing, because of the release order, the connective threads, and it's just more infuriating.
Because it's also distilled down to into that month you're watching it through.
Yeah. So then we stopped on Spider-Man Homecoming, which is next. So they would want to go Homecoming, Doctor Strange, Ragnarok, Infinity War, Wasp, Endgame.
Wait, Infinity War and then what? No, Wasp should become
and then Far From Home.
And then Far From Home will be last.
Right.
Yeah, Wasp should become before either Infinity War.
It doesn't really matter, I think, where Wasp comes in.
Well, because
the end of that one's the one where he disappears, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And
okay,
he comes back at the beginning of the next one. They're trying to put it so that he comes back at the beginning of Endgame. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think from what I've heard, spoilers for 4.5 seconds, it sounds like Widow comes before Infinity War and after Ragnarok.
It comes after Civil. Okay. Yeah, that's was a good joke that I was gonna have too at some point, but I mean, I guess it does. It actually, I guess, would help. It comes after Civil War.
I heard that the ending lines up with the ending of Civil War. Is that correct?
No, it takes place after Civil War. The beginning lines up
with some part of it lines up with Civil War's ending after credit scene.
Oh no, the after credit scene is more after Endgame. Like
the Civil War after credit where he lets everybody out of jail.
That lines up with the end of it, but you should still watch Civil War. I mean that little bit. I mean, there's not much to give you spoilers wise because it is kind of a drop in thing. Yeah. It is. I guess it's similar to the Wasp discussion of like, oh, it happens.
So it should just come before Infinity War is what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I think you should watch it after you watch Civil War. Yeah.
So I will throw that in here somewhere, maybe before Doctor Strange.
No.
I'm so excited to get to Ragnarok again. I love that movie.
A lot of fun.
That one was good.
Yeah, I am of the mind that it is. There's another tangent of the Marvel watching universe that does not like the Taika comedy routine that it became. But
yeah, I mean, I get.
I think it's important to have fun with a character that is as powerful as Thor is. It's just kind of otherwise. It's just like I'm Thor and I kill everyone. It doesn't matter because I'm the strongest Avenger.
Yeah.
That's an inside joke for.
My one complaint with that movie is that when he's coming to the stadium and everybody's chanting in the crowd, that they don't have them do the beginning of the AC/DC song Thunderstruck when everybody's going Thunder, and like, because especially because of who's the guy, Favreau, like incorporating so much of that into his movies, specifically like AC/DC stuff. I really feel like that was just like they didn't even need to get the whole song. They could have just had the as he's like coming out, have the crowd doing the thunder. But oh well.
Yeah, I guess that's not really Taika's. Like, if it would have been James Gunn, you'd have had that fun with with this. I mean, has everybody here watched? I mean, we're completely going. I mean, this isn't Tangential Giants, but uh, James Gunn did a really fun job with the soundtrack on Suicide Squad, and it's very much like he has a very good ear for taking music and putting it from pop music into the movie to make it feel more organic, and
Yeah.
He's got
that's
a
definitely something he's got a better pulse on.
Who's the guy that did? I'm gonna look up the name so I don't get it wrong. Baby Driver. Who directed Baby Driver?
Oh, that's not Nick Frost.
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright.
Edgar Wright would do a good job at that too. Like, if give Edgar Wright a Marvel movie and a bunch of music.
They
rights.
did, and they took it away. It's Ant-Man. Remember
Why'd they do that?
At the time it was essentially creative differences.
Oh.
Essentially, the way it comes across is that with Marvel they want a very specific palette of creation, and they're like, it didn't quite fall in line with what they wanted. And I mean that you can say that Marvel movies are a little more homogenized, and he's definitely goes a little bit slightly off kilt in a more creative way, which I appreciate his stuff, but I also understand that they're like, we want a very specific palette, and if you use hues that are outside of our thing, we don't necessarily want you to do that. So,
that's weird, because he's very good at that music. I mean, Shaun of the Dead, all that has that musical. He edits in his head to music that you couldn't even imagine while he's shooting, right? And then all of a sudden it all comes together where everything is on a beat, everything's on time.
Yeah.
That's too bad. I think they should reconsider that decision with maybe something that's not I know Ant-Man's a big part of their universe probably going forward. I mean, he's going to have to be.
I mean, unfortunately, I don't think we'll ever get that point where he'll come back. And it also has to be the right. I don't. No. I'm sorry. I don't think Edgar Wright will ever come back to Marvel.
Oh, I doubt it. I don't think he would come back at this point. Like, directors that get burned in that way don't show up again usually. Because it's not like he made the movie and they got to the point like Han Solo where they had to bring in Ron Howard or whatever, right, to fix the Solo movie. It's not like he made a movie and they had to fix it. It's just like they prepped it and then they didn't get along about the prep.
Yeah.
So that usually is the bigger burn, I think, for a director, is like, why they didn't like my ideas at all, so why would I bother?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, we got way off topic there from
I was gonna say,
you know what, we're still in Disney territory. We're fine.
We know we're all still in the same we're still in the same theme park. We're just,
this is Carbon Scoring
lands.
Plus. Anything on Disney Plus, we'll talk about.
Welcome to What's What, the Carbon Scoring subpod on Marvel.
This is an episode of Carbon Scoring. This is what's what?
What's what?
Not to be confused with What the, which was also a great comic.
What's what if? What's what if? Oh man.
I think we got a good pod for today. Check back next week for a Bad Batch. Aside, because that's one thing that somebody had made a comment to me about watching it all in chronological order, as opposed to the release orders, because a lot of the stingers and after credit things don't line up. Like, it wouldn't make sense that after Captain, I mean, this is of course spoilers, at the end of Captain Marvel, there's a thing where Nick Fury turns to dust and drops a pager because he's going to call Captain Marvel. But that stinger doesn't make any sense for 8 more movies, because Captain Marvel's the second movie in the series at that point.
It's the outlier. That's really the biggest outlier of all of them. I mean, like the stingers in general. I mean, the stingers in general don't matter, right? And
because most of the series does come out in mostly chronological order. There's definitely questions for for some of them, but I think most of the movies come, for the most part, in order. So
give me one second.
That's all good.
Trying to answer a question about timing for today, so it's, of course, I gotta think about it for 2 seconds.
No, well, I will take this opportunity to talk about Iron Man 3, because I had a very similar reaction to what you had with Iron Man 3, and the beginning of that movie, where spoilers for Iron Man 3, The beginning of the movie, when he calls out the Marvel Universe's version of Al Qaeda, and says basically he goes on like whatever their version of CNN and is like, "Come get me," or "Bring it on," or whatever. And then they attack his house with like two military grade, but like not particularly advanced or anything. It's like two Vietnam era military helicopters with, you know, regular rockets and machine guns and stuff. And watching that scene, I remember thinking like, let's pretend that he's not Tony Stark and has all of the most advanced weapons in the entire world and is also Iron Man and lives in his Malibu mansion and I'm assuming has like some sort of automated defenses because he has to sleep some of the time. Let's forget about all of that stuff. Let's forget about the fact that he's, you know, let's forget about Shield and the Avengers and people like that, and the fact that they could have reasonably thought that this attack was coming because he had just gone on national television and said, "Bring it on." Let's forget about all of that. Let's just say that somebody who's not any of that, who lives in Malibu, but is still famous, goes on national TV and challenges Al Qaeda to come and get them. Are you telling me, like, where's the Air Force? Where's the Coast Guard? Like, are you telling me that Al Qaeda can just at any point get two military helicopters in, I don't know, Mexico or whatever, and fly them in and blow up whatever mansion in Malibu they want? If the Air Force knows it's coming, like, that's, I thought that was really ridiculous.
Yeah.
And then you go through the whole movie and the middle part of the movie, and you get to the end, and you find out that during that whole time, he had a whole basement full of remote control suits that he could have just like activated to fight off these robots, and spent the whole movie hiding out in a shed in Tennessee while he had a whole basement full of remote control robot suits, remote control suits that he could have had come get him, or, you know, like, I'm just like, that whole movie, I thought that the writing on that movie was just terrible. And like, while I was in the movie, it was so shocking to me that like twice it drew me out of the movie, because I was like, wait, why are these helicopters allowed to do this? And then later on at the end, when he calls all the suits to come fight the explodey guys, I was just like, I literally verbally in the theater was like, what? When he called those guys and had them fly across the country to fight the guys, I was like, he's had those in his basement the whole time? Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, a lot of that movie didn't make a ton of sense. Like, people are blowing up all over the place, and like the police are like, well, we sure are stumped about this one. Let's never figure it out. It's like,
yeah, there's, and it's at times like,
there's literally people blowing up in LA.
Yeah.
And like, must have been a terrorist. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
Iron Man 3 was
experience with Iron Man 3.
I blocked that one out with the Ben Kingsley, like, I'm the Mandarin, but I'm also a weird actor.
They'll never see me coming.
Yeah, it's what a disappointing twist. Like, there's twists in movies, and then there's the whole, like, I get why it was like a cool twist in their head, but like when it played out on the screen, they didn't watch it and go like, this is kind of lame, actually. Like, because it leaves two bad guys underdeveloped, right? It leaves the Mandarin as like a foil bad guy with no purpose. And you're like, okay, well, so that the point of the Mandarin is fake when it could have been good.
Yeah, well, that's
right? Like,
I mean, that's I think that hopefully maybe something that will kind of come back to with Shang-Chi is that so from the very first movie, we had the Order of the Ten Rings from Iron Man 1.
Yeah.
That was the group that kidnapped Tony Stark. And the Ten Rings is a reference to Mandarin, which is a classic Iron Man villain. But then that's also wrapping back into the father of Shang-Chi and that who that's going to be in this new movie and what that means overall. And there's also those the Marvel one-shots that are not canon, but were for a quick minute, that were all the DVD extra one-shots where they end up breaking Ben Kingsley out of jail and like, Mr. Mandarin, we had to get you out. He's like, yeah, yes, you did. Good job. And like a whole thing there, and we don't know what all that's going to be happen. I don't know. I'm hoping that they find some way to be like, this is they thought it out. Like, okay, we fixed it. Sorry, it's all set now. Go ahead and we're all good now, guys. Carry on. How are you?
Yeah. Well, that's my point, right? Like then oh, the Mandarin isn't the bad guy. It's Guy Pearce. What's Guy Pearce's motivation? He got turned down by the goop lady. That's made him mad his whole life.
Well, I also stood up on the roof. That was the thing that his big, like, you made me stay on the roof when it was cold.
And I had a cane, so I must be an angry person because I had a disability. And it's like, not everybody with a disability ends up mad at the world, you guys. Like, like, so he's underdeveloped, right? And then the ending of him is like, and then he blew up, and then Gwyneth Paltrow didn't blow up, and I cured her with magic, and then I got my heart fixed because I care. But one movie later, I'm back at my BS and made a whole bunch more suits and a guy that's going to destroy and this is why I was saying Tony Stark is like, the arc does not go the way that, when you had these huge breaks between the movies later with more movies in between, you get a break from him. And the meat of the chronological order ends up putting you with Tony Stark front and center for a while.
I wonder if the order affects that, because aside from the Marvel, I think watching either of them in quick succession would still have that kind of like Tony Stark fatigue.
Well, because you get like Iron Man and Iron Man 2 back to back. Then you get a break. You get a break from him until the Avengers, which then puts Iron Man 3 back to back with the Avengers. So you get a double dose there.
Yeah,
and then you get a big break from him until Age of Ultron, which then goes into Civil War after that. So you kind of like get Tony Stark chunks, and they hit you really hard.
Yeah, you're doing Tony Stark doubles in the middle of all those. You're like, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's a fair.
The Stingers question that it didn't bother me. I think I've forgotten one or two of the Stingers, but most of them don't matter.
Did you skip them too?
No, we didn't skip them. We watched them, but most of them aren't super repercussive. Like some of them are helpful in the whole sense of like, this is that bad guy that we're gonna keep seeing. Like, it's actually kind of nice that you see Josh Brolin earlier, and you're like, this guy's behind the scenes the whole time. Like this, it's all leading up to this guy being behind the scenes. Although now we're gonna get Eternals soon, so I wonder how they'll deal with that. Will they talk about how he's an Eternal?
We don't know. Eternals is such kind of a question mark of like, oh, we've been here the whole time but done nothing because we've also we've purposely forgotten the world. It's a big question mark. I'm not a big Eternals fan, so I don't know. I don't have very many expectations for it. I just realized too, the stinger for Captain America is he gets out of the ice, and then you go into Captain Marvel and he's not there. So it's like the stinger needs to be another one where it's like the stinger almost needs to be like watched after a couple movies.
It doesn't have
to be.
It's not too bad. I mean,
it's not that egregious, but it's one of those things where it's like, wait, the stingers do kind of play out a little funkily. Yeah,
I mean, obviously, there's definitely some of like when we did Captain Marvel, right? And then we went later, and I'm looking at the cheat sheet here. You get later, and is it Ant-Man that has some back in the 80s stuff? No, it's not Ant-Man. Yes, it is Ant-Man.
Yeah, Ant-Man has 80s stuff.
Yeah.
So then it was like, wait, this part is right after Captain Marvel, but then the rest of the movie is not after Captain Marvel. So you have to kind of like remember back to what else is happening.
Is that the one with is that the same one with the 80s when like Peggy Carter's there?
In the background.
The one? Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember if that was a different movie or if that was the same movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
But the same 80s flashback.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them don't actually end up too far outside of release order. I mean, obviously putting Guardians and then Guardians 2 back to back change some stuff.
Those are kind of
they're their own thing.
Off on their own, side quest anyway.
And Guardians. So Guardians, you line up and you're like, okay, so he's abducted at this point in time, and then Guardians 2, you're like, and then that part of the story where he's there is at that point in time back when those movies were, and it's like,
Yeah.
That's okay.
Oh, there's also a time jump in. There's a flashback for when at the beginning of Guardians 2, you have to put that time jump because it's when Ego's on Earth. You have to put that before.
Yep.
You do it after Captain America, but before Captain Marvel.
Right. Yeah.
Which one's the one with Team Tony? Is that Iron
And
Man
then
3?
Iron Man. Oh. No,
is that one of the
that's
Avengers?
Civil War.
That's Civil War.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when. Oh well, then, and we've all seen Far From Home, correct?
I have not.
Yeah. You haven't seen Far From Home?
Oh,
No,
you
not
should
yet.
see it. It's good.
Well, he will. He's getting to it.
I'll get to it eventually. It's okay. You can talk
Okay.
about it. I'm not fine.
No, I'd rather let you just watch it.
I saw Homecoming. There's a time jump in that too, because you go back to the first Avengers movie and then you jump ahead.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton's character jumps time there.
So we're asking
not actually, but
anyone out there who's got just extra time on their hands, let's do a giant supercut of all the Marvel movies thus far, but all
recut the timelines.
Completely chronological.
Oh wow! So like splice movies apart. Like even if it's in the same time, you got to move them around. So like Black Widow would fit into multiple parts of other movies, or.
Yep. So when
Also,
you,
when you're going
Captain
through,
America,
whoever's doing the supercut for us for What's What episode 2, find out who the second person was that came out of the Tesseract portal that was not Peggy Carter.
it's gonna be like I love it if you're gonna.
But also not Loki.
Yeah. I love that on some cut of this, like you have a moment where like you already watched Captain Marvel. A Flurkin comes through the portal for some reason. You're like, was that what that was? I don't know.
I don't think so. This seems like CGI that's not Marvel grade.
But yeah, that's if you got the time, make that supercut. I think it would be a very interesting watch to finish up with Captain America, First Avenger, and then you have a clip from Ant-Man with Peggy Carter.
No, you would have stuff before Captain America, because there are flashbacks to Howard on a set in one of the Iron Man movies that I think, isn't there video of Howard previous?
That's after World War II though. That's because that's Iron Man 2 when he's like building the city.
Okay, and then there isn't there like,
is that what you're talking about?
No, but there's also video of him working. No, that's also after, huh? The one where they go back to they go back in. How would you do that when they start going back in time?
Oh, yeah. How do you do that?
How do you do that?
No,
does that stay in chronological order? Does that go back in time?
That stays where it is because it's the characters are experiencing it in a linear time frame because the characters are experiencing it as a linear.
Who's your character? Because you have to pick a character that what their linear experience is. Some characters are not around for that linear experience.
Also, we would there is stuff before Captain America, I'm pretty sure, because wouldn't some of the Thor stuff happen?
Oh yeah, technically
before that?
because
The Thor 2 stuff,
hundreds, if not thousands,
a bunch of Thor 2 would happen
so
before
just
that.
Chop up some Thor 2 and throw it before all that.
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, Thor begins. Nice.
And then there's some moments of the Ancient One when she's teaching Doctor Strange, and they just like take that clip, move it here. No.
Yeah. That would be a gnarly thing to try and figure out. Don't do it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure somebody's already done it, and it's on some wiki page somewhere.
I'm
here's
sure
the timeline.
Daily Motion has it because they don't care about copyright, so Daily Motion probably has the full Marvel timeline.
I don't mean the cut movie. I'm just saying like a timeline written out. I'm sure somebody somewhere has done it.
There's a Reddit thread for that.
That's easy enough to do, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Like this clip goes there. Start your Blu-ray at 5 minutes. Watch.
Yeah. Do they have the timestamps?
Yep.
Well, folks, I think that was a good time spent for
What's what? Episode 1, Who Done a Portal?
with a little bit of MotU in there.
Yeah.
There was MotU at the beginning. MotU was good. There wasn't a lot to say about MotU other than like Revelation is good, and if you liked Masters of the Universe, watch it. It's really, I mean, Unless you want to get
It's-
into controversy, which is not controversy, it's just manufactured. There's not much to
Haters gonna
say
hate.
about it, right? You know?
Yeah.
And on a
it's
slight
short.
tangent, yeah. If you're looking for a series to get upset about on Netflix, get upset about the Transformers War for Cybertron because the story development on there is pretty, and the acting's not.
So it's a
top-notch.
direct sequel to Beast Wars, right?
No, it's timeline stuff.
Shenanigans, because I saw 2 Optimus Primes.
Yeah, it's shenanigans, and it's also not as like that's the thing is compared to Revelations where they're like, oh, let's go out and get an A list of cast here.
Yeah.
They go like, no, let's go non-union and keep it all off books, and they have voice actors who I don't feel are up to the task that they've been given. Although I don't think the task that they've been given is that of that height either.
I also
performance-
felt like the script for the whole War for Cybertron series, like they had very at a high level when they plotted out the story, I feel like they had a very ambitious story plotted out, and then they did not spend the time with like the actual script writing and polishing and rewriting and stuff to get it to where it totally made sense and it flowed right, and I just felt like they needed the overall story was good. I just felt like the script writing at a lot of points it felt like they cheaped out.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah.
Did Starscream get a moment?
Starscream got many moments.
Okay. He's the only Decepticon that I like in
Really?
general. I don't like many of the Decepticons. I find them annoying.
You like Starscream better than Soundwave?
Soundwave's all right.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember which
Wait,
ones. I'm more of an
What was-
Autobotter.
What was that statement? Who does he like more?
Starscream.
Soundwave. I
I didn't say
Starscream
I
is
like him
entertaining.
necessarily more.
Yeah. Starscream
Um,
is entertaining, but Soundwave is bad. He's my guy. He's badass.
I mean, if I had to
Rumble,
pick a
Ravage.
Decepticon, I think Starscream gets shafted a lot. That's all I'm saying.
As he's supposed to. Like that's his role. He's the I mean, that's his he's not supposed to be the like good guy, or he's not supposed to be the villain you root for, because he's just like, oh, Megatron, no, like he's
I know,
that's not him. That's what he's supposed to be, and I enjoy him for that. Where as opposed to say like, I don't know, he plays his role perfectly for most.
I just,
times.
we got Teela got her moment, or Orko got his moment. I just am waiting for someone to write the Starscream moment. I know he's had one. Don't write me. I know about it.
At Radnewt,
No.
find him on Instagram and Twitter.
Didn't he have a purple and white version of him at one point? I thought he
You
was
talking about
purple.
Skywarp?
No, not Skywarp. There was like a
Thundercracker?
Thundercracker? What was that?
So there's essentially, if it's Starscream, it's just that paint job. Unless we're going to talk about Shattered Glass, if it's the same look of Starscream but different colors, it's a different character, because a large amount of them are just palette swaps because it's cheaper. So there's Skywarp, Thundercracker, then there's the Storm guys, Acid Storm, Lightning Storm. I'm so wrong on all those.
I'm trying to remember
Red
one that
Wing.
was mostly white with a little bit of purple. I thought it was Starscream, but that's fine. I know Starscream's red, white, and blue most of the time, but yeah, I just feel like, Evil Lynn got her moment. Starscream needs to not be a joke on some version of Transformers at some point.
No, that's fair.
Soundwave. Oh. I don't know. I felt like the Autobots always got more development than most of the Decepticons did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. Because that's how were they writing it? Like, oh, let's give more time and effort to the heroes, because that's who the kids should be interested in. They didn't think it that far through most of the time.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, Soundwave's the one on the left.
Right, but I'm saying like in the center is
Skywarp.
Skywarp,
Yeah.
and then there are later on there are more, and that's kind of where it gets tougher because they keep just doing more and more palette swaps, and so you have ones that are completely off. I don't know.
Who's
like,
this
this one's. Let me pull up the thing, see what you
Jetfire.
sent.
Who's Jetfire?
Oh, Jetfire is the Autobot. That's another. He's not a Seeker, but he's the one who was also. But he was actually just He's a redux of the Macross, the Robotech, the Valkyrie.
This is the one I'm remembering.
There's no purple in Jetfire.
But I'm pretty sure this is because his wings move and Starscream's wings didn't move.
Yeah, no, Jetfire is amazing.
No, I had a Starscream, and then I think it's Jetfire because they ended up buying me two, and they bought me two different jets to go together. Gen 1 Seekers. Here we go. Nope, that's a video. Don't play. Don't play. Don't play.
We can't pay for their audio.
Yeah, I don't.
Are you saying that they hook together? Because then they might be the aerial bots.
No, they don't hook together. There was a Generation 1 wave of, I think, the Seekers, and Starscream had one in there. But there was one where Jetfire, I think, is the one where his wings moved, and the other one's wings didn't move forward and back. So I'm pretty sure it's Jetfire and Soundwave to do like a Transformers aerial fights with when I was a kid.
Gotcha. Jetfire was just a retool of that
Macross figure. Yeah, he looks exactly like a Macross.
Yeah. And he transforms, and you can do. Yeah, he's awesome. It's just not technically because he's not one of the same molds. He's not a Seeker technically.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, but didn't he lead them? In one of the stories, wasn't he like the leader? Was that War for Cybertron?
War for Cybertron, he is like the commander of the Air Guard essentially, but he's not leader of the Seekers. If that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
He's the
man. If only the Netflix show was as good as this discussion we're having.
Yeah,
I don't want to come down too hard on it because I did enjoy it, but I did feel like they cheaped out at many key points during the production of the show. Yeah.
Right.
Oh man.
And that's
that
where I think
Jetfire is worth a lot of money. What did I do? Where is it?
Oh yeah, that old one is money. If you have it and the armor, you got money.
Oh my goodness.
But in terms of like that's what I'm thinking is the comparison you're drawing that I want to draw is that with War for Cybertron they did cheap out, and you can show like with Revelations, despite it's getting blowback for other reasons, not due to the quality of the show. It's getting blowback because of political reasons. Whereas with War for Cybertron, they didn't put in the work, they didn't put in the effort. I feel personally, and yet they just get to coast by. But I'm like, no, there's still some good stuff there. I think that was to the comment of like, when you rewatch it, do you go back and you're like, oh, this is the show I remembered versus the show that it actually was.
Mm-hmm.
There's a better Revelations does a better job of stepping up and be like, oh no, we brought you back a better product, as opposed to War for Cybertron, which is like, don't these look awesome? They kind of do. It's like, yeah, they do look awesome, but I want especially when they put it against the palette of Beast Wars, of like there was some really good story arcs and characters.
Beast Wars has the same. It's not the same quality as Revelation, but it has the same objective as Revelation, which was somebody went to somebody and said, here's all the Transformers, have fun. Yeah. And they were like, what if we changed what they did? And obviously they'd sell more toys that way.
We cared. Yeah.
Yeah. But like this Revelation was the same idea. It was like, here's all the MotU toys. Here's your sandbox, man. Do whatever you want. Like, yeah. And that's what you end up with. And as you can see, I ended up buying a whole bunch of toys because of it. So good job, not Hasbro.
Yeah. And they built a quality story behind it.
Mattel,
that's the thing.
Right? I think MotU is still Mattel.
MotU is Mattel. Yeah, they own MotU. Yeah. Just like Hasbro owns Transformers and stuff.
Podcast at wewergamers.com. Get in your thoughts for Bad Batch and answer who else came out of the portal, because I'm pretty sure someone else came out of the portal.
Yep. And if you like this episode, let us know for the next what's what podcast.
We've done too many sub pods because we still got to get back to karate scoring.
Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Well, I mean, we've got season 4 on the horizon.
That's true.
I will say for the karate scoring thing, so I watched some karate during the Olympics, and I will say I was just as confused by the scoring, the actual like what counts as a point and what doesn't count as a point, because I
Okay.
watched one of the gold medal finals ended up being a 0-0 tie because nobody scored a point, which then goes to there's the referee and there's a judge who sits at each corner of the square.
Okay.
And they all hold up a flag. So they have a blue flag and a red flag, and they each hold up the flag of the person, like simultaneously. They hold up the flag of the person that they thought won the fight,
Okay.
even though nobody scored a point at the same time. And then whoever wins, the most flags wins won the gold medal. Right. But like during the fight, one of the people knocked the other person to the ground and punched them in the face, like did a toss and punched them in the face. And I'm like, how is that not a point? Like, what kind of scoring is this? Right?
That happened in Karate Kid, and that was a point.
I know. I'm like, what kind of karate world do we live in where you throw your opponent to the ground and punch them on the face while they're on the ground, and that's not a point?
What kind of karate world do we live in?
Yeah. So clearly, I don't understand competitive karate scoring at all. So if you do, please write into the podcast or be a guest host and explain how competitive karate is scored to me, because I do not understand it at all.
Kareem, if you're listening, the only way you're getting on for karate scoring is if you can come on and explain all the karate scoring. Oh, man. Until next time. I don't know. The Revelation didn't have a very good goodbye, so.
No.
Stab Adam in the chest.
I mean, preferably not a spoiler one, but yeah. By the way, the one bad thing about the Jetfire is all the modern ones are pretty expensive too.
Yeah.
Even if they're not like, and I'm like, I want a decent Jetfire that's not $70. And he's huge though. He's big though. Like he's a Titan class, which is
really
massive. This is not the one I'm showing. The one I'm showing is a little more of a
the
budget
Macross
version.
one was not that big.
No, Macross one was
And I don't think Hasbro owns Transformers outright. I think they at the very least have to share it with Takara Tomy, because Takara Tomy in Japan had the Transformers line, and then I think Hasbro worked out like either a share of it or like they have the exclusive American rights or something like that. But I think that they at least have to share some of it with Takara Tomy.
Yeah, they do share that.
There's also one called Skyfire.
Okay, so Skyfire is Jetfire.
Oh.
So like because the part of the problem is that they brought over the Jetfire, they brought over the Macross Valkyrie, but they actually didn't secure the rights fully. So at first he was Jetfire in the cartoon, but then he was Skyfire in the comics, and so he's kind of the same character. There's I can show you videos about all that. It's
This is what you spend your time on?
Yeah, I mean, look behind me.
Okay, what is this? Gray, purple automatron, 1984.
That looks like a GoBot, to be honest.
That looks like
GoBot.
That looks like that triple changer, Blitzwing.
You think?
Yeah, I bet. I mean, that's what it looks like to me because of the sandy colored. Like the jet was purple and the tank was like sandy colored.
Blitzwing.
I think it's Blitzwing. The triple changer that turned into a tank and a jet.
Oh, did I have that one?
Oh
too?
yeah, that makes sense. Because he said a purple jet, that makes sense. Blitzwing is a purple jet, and Takara
might have
Tomy,
had
he's
a Blitzwing.
He's a tank and he's a jet.
Did he have a toy?
Yeah.
He was one of the first triple changers. So they made Astrotrain? Was Astrotrain the other one?
Yeah.
Astrotrain and Blitzwing were the two first triple changers.
Triple
so
changer,
that you could turn them into
Blitzwing. This is the look of the jet that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to find the original 1990s probably version of that.
90s, 80s. I'll send it to us right now. Here, let me.
Because that's definitely the color scheme of the jet that I'm remembering that I had. It must not have been Skyfire. It must have been Must have been this one. Because the red didn't look right, but the wings on... Because the wings on this one moved too.
Yeah.
It
It's
must
a
be
Transformers-
Blitzwing. 1990.
Type in Transformers G1 Blitzwing. The problem is there's been so many versions since then.
Of
I'm
Blitzwing?
getting. Yeah.
Yes.
Is he a big one because he's a triple changer?
Yeah.
He's not.
and
He's not that much bigger than the regular like mid-sized
Yeah.
mid-sized Transformers.
I wonder if maybe you had the G2 release.
I don't see a
let's
G2
see.
here.
That's what I'm trying to see because, okay. So here's the thing too. I think there was.
It was like a metal. Did they have metal Transformers ever?
Yeah, that's the Gen 1. The G1 stuff was a lot of like Optimus Prime had metal in him. So did several of them had metal parts. Most of the Autobots had metal parts. Because I mean,
82
Blitzwing
is the
makes
first
perfect
wave.
sense.
So when's second wave? When's G2 come out?
90s.
Early 90s, yeah.
Yeah.
That would
That's
be
like when they had the tank Megatron.
Yeah.
saw more or less simultaneous release in Japan 95. Yeah, so I would have a G2s. Very likely.
Oh, you know what I didn't think about too? Well, I mean, because there's also Six Shot, who's 6-in-1, as opposed to triple changers. And I'm just like, oh god, there's so many.
BotCon exclusives, guys.
No, they actually didn't have BotCons until the 2000s. So
1995, buddy. Nightcracker, Night Racer, Night somebody.
Night Racer.
Night Racer. Looks like Knight Rider, but transforms into Wipeout.
Oh, what?
I'm just looking at this link of G2.
Oh no!
I think you're looking at. I think you're actually. You might be talking about G2 Starscream. I'm gonna send you a link.
Oh,
I
that makes
probably
sense.
am.
So if you scroll down, G2 Starscream looks
Is
like
he
he's white
purple?
and purple. Yeah, white and
Yes,
purple.
he is. Good
Dude.
man.
I knew I had one. It was white and purple. I followed your link. Where is this Starscream? It's white and purple.
He's down further.
Oh.
You got to scroll
Yep,
down.
there it is. There's
Yeah.
white and purple Starscream
All
right
right.
there.
We solved it. G2 Starscream. I didn't even think about we're going like. Well played. Well played. Because we're off in the green and purple Megatron tank era,
Yeah.
and we didn't think, purple was the name of the game during the 90s. Let's get some.
Yep. There's the purple stickers.
There you go. So yeah, you had a G2 Starscream, in addition to the G1.
Yeah. And what is the? Oh, there's a whole list of mold reassignments for Starscream.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa. Starscream G1. These are all G1s though.
Well, the mold was reused so many times, constantly. But
Oh,
it's
here we
good.
go.
That's
Here's
I'm glad
G2,
we did the detective
G1
work.
reissue. Commemorative series reissue. I bet you.
Oh yeah, look, there's the camera. There's a looks like there's a
nice.
masterpiece version. Looks really clean. I mean, if you wanted to open that door for yourself of like, oh, I want to get in Transformers.
Oh, what series?
Here's a masterpiece.
What is that?
Money. Transformers masterpiece.
They're like really high end, really nice, high quality, very expensive Transformers
Yeah.
that are
Yeah.
they're not like the same molds and stuff, but they're like meant to look like I think predominantly the G1 stuff. But I mean they're like, what's the retail on those, like $200-300?
Yeah, depending on the figure.
I mean they're really really nice high quality figures, but yeah, the Transformers masterpiece figures are pretty pricey. Even if you can get them at retail, because a lot of them are out of print now, and so you're gonna have to pay a lot on the secondary market, like a lot more than what they were going for. But even if you get the new stuff now, it's their pricey MSRP.
93.
I mean, if it's to give you a bit of a point of reference, here's the current. This was This would have been Earthrise. This is a current Earthrise Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Oh God. That clicking,
Here.
if you hear the ratchet joints, those are because it's that heavy. He's all metal. This is the Masterpiece Optimus Prime MP01.
Wow.
And this is like, I mean, I don't know if it catches on camera, but this is all die-cast metal.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
This
beautiful.
is die-cast metal. And like
That's
this
pretty.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
How can you have him as a truck?
What's up?
Why do you have him as a truck?
Space, because he stores well and flat here on the shelf. And then I also have this one, and I also I have a bot forms around that. Like in the case over here, I have a bot form, like a transform version. So I have both.
You have two
display.
of the same masterpiece on?
No. I only have one of the Well, okay, so there's clarity to make there as well. This is MP1. This is the very first Optimus Prime masterpiece they did.
Okay.
This is the U.S. Toys R Us version. MP2 is Megatron, MP3 is Starscream, and then they go down the list. MP10 is a redux of Optimus Prime in a more properly scaled version with the rest of the line, because at the time they started doing like Bumblebee and stuff like that, this MP1 was too tall. So then they used that mold when they released the Ecto Prime last year two years ago at San Diego Comic-Con. This is the Ecto one. I'm sorry, the Ecto version of Optimus Prime in the MP10.
I had this too for sure. Which is the Gen 2 of Jetfire. I had this one.
Ah, okay.
I had that one for sure. I had a lot of jets. I had at least 3 of these for sure.
That makes total sense for you. That's 100% an Andy thing.
That's true.
Like that's on brand. Is Andy has jets.
I do. I like things that fly. Huh. Man, I had a lot more toys than I thought. I should have boxed more of them up instead.
I mean, if we could have all saved our toys at the time, we would be all very happy nowadays. But trust me, I'd have all my Ghostbusters still. My Ghostbusters are the things I miss the most.
Yeah, look at that. Oof.
By the way, just speaking of the mashups, did you ever see that they had the Maverick Top Gun mashup with Transformers?
No.
So like let me copy this. So it's a jet that transforms into a bot, but he's wearing a helmet that says Maverick, and he's got one of these. Look at this. And I literally have like 2 more minutes, and I gotta roll.
Wow, that's crazy. That's cool looking.
Yeah. So it's like a friend of mine picked this up, and then he had the Gundam paint pens and did all the lines in it. Yeah. And it looks 100 times better because
paint pens are sick, dude. Paint pens should be given. Like if you buy 7 toys on Pulse, you should get a set of paint pens. You know?
Yeah, a friend of mine just did a wash on like one of the Build-A-Figures, and
I'm telling you that. Oh, he went bye. That Marvel Hydra Stomper with a wash and some edging with paint pen or no paint pen, you could do it with a brush too, would look good. I'm telling you, because this is a clean mold. It just needs more paint.
Yeah.
I really want to know if they're gonna bring back Scareglow into stock, because they still have them on the website. I'm guessing never.
It's certainly possible. They could have something come up, or they could release him as a standard release without some of the extras.
Just print his body.
Yeah, it's all repaint, so it's just like the release body without the extras, without the 2 spirit swords, because they're a little more spirity in that episode. So
yeah. Looking at Transformers was not what I expected to go today. I really did not.
On a side note, they're getting ready for PowerCon this year, and the MotU Classics, they're doing a Faker along with his animal companion, not Panther, or sorry, not Panthro or
Faker
Battle
for
Cat,
Revelations.
No, Faker for Origins. Yeah. and
I keep saying Revelations, but it's Revelation.
yeah, just one Revelation, not multiple.
No, so Revelations is the name of the after show.
Oh, gotcha. Revelations about Revelation.
Yep.
Kit, that's more for you. It's Faker and Duplicat. And I'm like, oh, that's so dumb and cool. Give it to me now.
Does he have little boots?
Yeah, he has little boots that clip on the front, so he can, because he's still a robot cat. So it's Duplicat.
Oh man,
and I'm
I
like,
see. Okay.
It's perfectly.
Well, I definitely don't need that, but
it's fair. It's one of those things. I'm like, oh, that's.
So far, all of the stuff that I'm looking for out of Origins still is the stuff that's that I'm hoping comes back in. That's basically like the main core people from the early stuff. So like a Man at Arms, an Orko, a Beastman, a Merman, a Trapjaw. That'd pretty much get me where I want to be. I just got the little I don't know, whatever. I don't remember what they're called. The little ski-doos, the flying ski-doos that comes with Prince Adam today. So
I'd say that's one thing about like the Origins that has us beat on any other format is that you get the
so much junk with it.
vehicles. But you get vehicles. You can have all that stuff that they're not doing aside from Battlecat, who's $40. Like you don't get a lot of other vehicles with a lot of other lines, and I like those. I love like, oh, this is his car. This is otherwise I'm just buying them in like this.
Yeah, the Battlecat, the Origins Battlecat is like I think the MSRP is $24.99, but I got it for like $20.
Yeah, but they have He-Man's the green one with the orange gun on top. They have that as a Hot Wheels.
Oh yeah,
and so I want to pick that up, but I'm like, but they have the toy. Well, it's just like they have a toy of the Luke's Landspeeder, and I'm like, because the Black Series one's not out there anymore. I'm like, they don't make vehicles in the 6-inch scale. I'm like, I want those still. Oh, good God, it's 4:30. I gotta get roll.
Yep.
All right, guys, it's definitely great talking to you, as evidenced by the continued discussion of cool toys.
Masterpiece Starscream does look good.
Yeah.
All the Masterpiece figures are great. They're just really expensive.
Yeah. I do recommend a lot of the War for Cybertron stuff. It's very much a close to Masterpiece detailing and product on a budget. And I do recommend, because there's a lot of good details in the current War for Cybertron stuff. And I can't wait to get Rhinox. He's on the and then once they do they release Tigertron, I'll be done for the most part for Beast Wars.
Not until they get you some Dinobots, man.
Dinobot. They've got.
They did Dinobots
Grimlock.
A few years ago.
Yeah, they did those in the.
I don't think it was War for Cybertron, but they did a
Power
similar
the
type thing. Yeah.
But the Grimlock from the Studio Series is spot on, and they just released a Slag 2 for the Studio Series. I reckon if you're looking for Dinobots, that's definitely a way to go.
I can't.
You can't open another door. I understand. I have too many doors open as it is.
There's two versions of Starscream Masterpiece? This is confusing.
Yeah, because there's like MP. Yeah.
One looks good and the other one looks weird.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably like there's more detail or there's some clarity in one of them, but it definitely starts to get like, okay, what am I actually doing? Like, what? Because it's always a matter of like, what's the definitive version? You're like, I don't know.
Waspinator.